Boy, it used to work the suspensions and tires.
Really was very, 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 very rough.
So now the field comes round to the set position. We'll have the green flag at the back, then the red light, and then the green. The final two cars pulling into position. Pedro Diniz in his backup, and Gianni Lavaggi, Johnny Car Wash, in his last appearance in Formula One for 1995. The green flag waves. We have the red light. Here we go again. Once again, the Ferraris with a great smoky tire start. Schumacher and Berger go wheel to wheel, but Coulthard will have the lead. Oh, and everybody gets sideways.
That was a nasty thing there. I thought there would be multiple shots, but so far they've fed their way through there. Remarkable. Berger had a lot of problem in practice on Friday, and this might be something still to do with it, locking up wheels.
Berger won a game of chicken with Michael Schumacher as they went through that chicane, and now they head for the Lesmos once again.
Coulthard got a little bit of a gap there, which is very nice because the other two are having such a moment behind him. Hill is very quiet at the moment, but I'm sure we'll see something soon. Who said the Ferrari hadn't got any power?
Coulthard drifts across Berger's bow. Berger looking for the race lead. If he gets it, this place will go crazy.
He'll get it down that back straight out of the Ascari curve, that's for sure. There's so much speed down there, and it's so great to go to a circuit where there are places to overtake. The drivers love it. They all feel this circuit is much safer than it was before, but it's still very fast. But nobody wants to go off because you can still get hurt. But it's not as clinical as some of these other places we've seen.
Coulthard, Berger, Schumacher, Hill, Herbert, and Alesi quite a ways back.
Oh, Berger's not making too much impression on the Williams at the moment. Slipstreaming down there, but catches him under braking, sweeping in 100-mile-an-hour entry and 160-mile-an-hour exit of this parabolic turn. Very, very fast, and then speeding up to 215 just after the start-finish line. The fastest track.
So David Coulthard makes the most of his opportunity and leads the first lap, followed by Berger, Schumacher, Hill, Alesi, and Herbert. Berger took a look down the outside, heading for the chicane. This is the chicane where Ayrton Senna went off back in 1988, handing the race victory to the two Ferraris of Berger and Alboreto.
This is the Curva Grande, well, it used to be the most exciting corner in motor racing. Now it looks still pretty exciting to take that at 180 miles an hour by anybody's standards. But Schumacher playing a nice, sensible game there. He likes to watch, see the race settle down before he makes his move. He's very wise. He can see Berger in front of him, locking up brakes, diving inside Coulthard. And, he knows he's got time. They're going to have stops. His pit work, his pit strategy is always superior to anybody else's. And so if he doesn't take the lead yet, it doesn't really bother him. He's really very, very bright.
Well, we've got more dust. I believe that's
very slow.
At Ascari again. I think that might have been Mika Salo going slowly. Nevertheless, up front, Coulthard now beginning to draw away just a little bit. Schumacher, Hill, Alesi, Johnny Herbert, and it might have been Rubens Barrichello, I think. It looked like one of the Jordans.
I'm expecting to see a bit more from a McLaren at the moment, but maybe they've decided it's time to take it easy.
Ooh, here's the problem. One of the Ligers, that's Papis getting off. And is that Mika Salo who spun the Tyrrell? Looks like everybody got by cleanly.
But he kept the engine going and carried on, which is great. Kenter will be very happy about that.
The Tyrrell team has been working very hard on their suspension. The car just simply is not balanced, and that's a problem. Ooh, we saw some evil-looking dicing right there. Let's take another look at the restart while the battle cools up front slightly. At the lower right is Coulthard. Watch just behind him as Gerhard Berger gets away in a cloud of smoke, gets right over to Michael Schumacher's hubs, and then it is simply a battle between those two. Schumacher lights him up, Berger twitching under braking. Great stuff.
Yeah, because in fact we have Schumacher with a different type of brake out there, a higher standard braking system than he's had before. So maybe I noticed they were working on the brakes just before the race started. So maybe that's why he had a little bit of problems there, because he can adjust them, of course.
David Coulthard was asked this weekend if he if he jumped or was pushed from the Williams team, whether he knew where he was driving next year for another team before it was announced that Jacques Villeneuve would come to be Damon Hill's partner in the Williams team next year. Coulthard said, "I can only answer that question when my future plans are announced," which of course leads everyone to believe that those plans are already set in stone. Ron Dennis said his driver lineup has been locked up for some time now. They will announce it at the European Grand Prix on October 1st, at which point Ferrari says they will announce their second driver. So depending on whom you believe, David Coulthard will be a McLaren driver in 1996. However, as mentioned, Ron Dennis says his driver lineup is already decided. Alain Prost, who is now testing for that team, says he doesn't know what he's going to do next year. So, take your pick.
I don't know if you believe anybody, really. Coulthard is getting a little bit of a lead here. He's pulling away very gently. He's being very neat, very smooth through those corners. You notice that they do curb it a lot in the very first chicane, but after that, they keep it very neat and tidy, try not to ride those curbs. And of course, they are pulling a lot of speed. Here, they're pulling 130 miles an hour.
You have to be very careful of those curves. In the Ascari chicane, the curves were made horizontal simply because the cars tend to use them so much. So essentially, the cars have been given that little extra bit of runoff at Ascari. Now here comes Coulthard with so much to prove. Same goes for this man, Gerhard Berger, who said his biggest motivation for going to Benetton was that he doesn't think that Ferrari's new V10 next year will be reliable. He says it will be powerful, but he's not sure of its reliability. And at age 36, he wants to win races, so he will no doubt take a pay cut and go to Benetton to have that Renault behind his head.
Basically, he just didn't want to drive with Schumacher. That's the truth of it. He's used to this great status he has with Ferrari, and suddenly Schumacher is going to dominate anybody that comes along, and it's going to give them a hard time. And if Coulthard goes to Ferrari, it'd be wonderful for him. At the same time, he's going to have a major character change to get himself to get in front of Schumacher, personality-wise and, of course, driving-wise.
Well, driving with Schumacher has been the kiss of death for just about everyone's career that has chosen to come alongside him. Actually, he and Martin Brundle, his old Benetton teammate, get on very well, and yet Brundle is hardly mentioned in the frame as a possible teammate at Ferrari. Rushing now through the haze, temperature about 89 degrees, a warm afternoon in Monza. Gerhard Berger, fast lap. He's going to need several of those if he's going to come to terms with Coulthard once more through the second Lesmo. After a short break, we'll return for more live coverage of round 12 of the 1995 Formula One season. We are back live at Monza as you see Mark Blundell looking down the inside of Martin Brundle. Here's our field summary. Poleman David Coulthard leads over Berger and Schumacher. Hill fourth, a lazy fifth, but slipping backwards. Barrichello may get around him shortly. Then Herbert, Hakkinen, Irvine, and Brundle round out the top 10, followed by Mark Blundell, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Olivier Panis, Ukio Katayama, and Luca Badois. Max Papis, Gianni Lavaggi, Pedro Lamy has joined Roberto Moreno and Andrea Montermini on the sidelines, so 21 cars remain in this race.
Schumacher just whipped in the quickest lap there, which is interesting to know. Shows he's getting himself together. But, you know, I've noticed with several Grand Prix, they're inclined to run fairly like this for a while until we have a fuel stop. And once we get that fuel stop, then they think they really know what the order is. Because,
the other Pacific, Gianni Lavaggi. This is in the chicanes on the front side, I believe. And it looks like he has lost the fire and is done for the day. Meanwhile, rushing down toward the Parabolica, 209 miles an hour before getting on the brakes right here. We're back in 1970 in Saturday qualifying. Jochen Rindt Lotus jerked left into the barrier, which you see to the right of your screen. He died of his injuries and became the first posthumously crowned world champion. In fact, the only one. Dying at the age of 28. In fact, recently Austrian TV showed footage of that crash, which I did not know, frankly, existed. I had never seen footage of it, but apparently it exists, and they showed it recently. The 25th anniversary of that dark moment in Formula One history. Now here's Blundell battling with fellow Englishman Martin Brundle. Well, Italian TV has decided not to show us the denouement of that little battle. Ooh, somebody getting a wheel off.
Is that Mr. Lazy?
Coulthard beginning to draw away. Berger and the world champion. Damon Hill now drawing up on Michael Schumacher. Our pictures and sound are coming to us from RAI Network in Italy. Now David Coulthard draws away. Gerhard Berger has had an interesting 2 weeks since our race in Spa. He recently married his longtime girlfriend, Ana Corvo, from Portugal, mother of his now teenage daughter, Cristina. Berger had a great comment. He said, "We didn't want to make a public event of it like someone else," referring obviously to Michael Schumacher's chaotic wedding to his longtime girlfriend just a few weeks earlier.
Damon's right up on the back there of Schumacher, and yet Schumacher was closing a little bit on the Ferrari just now. Lazy's scratching away at the back, trying to hold in at all. For some reason, he's not really on it today. His heart really hasn't been in it this weekend. He hasn't been doing anything particularly well. I mean, I would have thought fifth was quite a good qualifying position, but I know he wasn't happy. There you can see that Blundell did get him back by Brundle, and of course somebody else has got by Blundell as well, coming in there.
That was Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Sauber going around Martin Brundle. Brundle said he has not driven this Ligier in its low downforce configuration. Recall that Aguri Suzuki of Japan had the car for the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim, so Brundle has had to accommodate a steep learning curve. We've had a lot of cars off the racetrack as these teams try to find the absolute minimum amount of wing necessary to provide the downforce they need for the corners. The idea here at Monza is top speed. Coulthard's pole lap, averaging 152 miles an hour, is the fastest of the year. Not quite as fast as the old Monza record, and of course not close to the all-time qualifying record of 160 miles an hour for Keke Rosberg at the old Silverstone circuit.
You can see how little downforce they're running, when in fact you can't see the names of the sponsors on the rear wings of the car when they're coming towards you. That tells you how low the wings are.
Schumacher and Hill may find themselves in a battle shortly.
For a change. We don't often have that, do we? It should be worth another one race ban or something.
By talking before the race, you were fairly confident that Michael Schumacher did absolutely nothing wrong at Spa.
I wouldn't say nothing wrong. I didn't think he did anything too outrageous. I think his driving was outstanding. I thought the way that Damon could not get away with him, Schumacher on slicks, Damon on wets, and Damon couldn't pull away from him. I thought that was the outrageous thing. And for a guy on wets to allow another man on slicks to actually stay with him through a series of corners, I found quite difficult. I'm sure I wasn't in the car, and therefore how can I say, but that was my opinion at the time, and I thought Michael did an amazing job. I think you saw some real star driving going on that we don't see very often. You won't really see that sort of thing today.
And supposedly Michael Schumacher is worth about a second a lap in the Ferrari next year. He may need all of that and then some. The running order right now is Coulthard, Berger, Schumacher, Hill, Alesi, Barrichello, Hakkinen, Herbert, Irvine, Blundell, Brundle, Frentzen, Penny, Katayama, Badua, and Salo.
It's the one racetrack, I think, of all that we've been to that the Williams with the Renault engine really is superior. Then somebody's going to say, yes, but surely Benetton have got the Renault engine as well, but they don't seem to have that aerodynamic speed that the Williams does. And it's very apparent. You can see just the way Coulthard is gradually pulling away from the rest of the field. He's now got a 2.5 second lead after, 6 laps. So he's just gradually easing away from everybody. But I think after his incident on the warming up lap, it's quite remarkable how he's pulled himself together, because I would have been a bit perturbed, I think, after falling off in the lap.
Now here's another look at the spin that took Gianni Lavaggi out of this race. And as you can see, that gravel pouring over onto that chicane, that'll make life difficult for the field that remains in this race. In fact, that gravel was a part of a bizarre incident that took place on Friday when Taki Inoue went off in the footwork, scattered gravel everywhere, and then the 240 teammates came through, and Pedro Diniz sprayed the gravel in the air. It was hit at full speed by his teammate following, Roberto Moreno. It absolutely destroyed the front wing, the nose, the rear wing, and pocked Moreno's helmet to the point where he could not use it. Left rear tire down on one of the Ligers.
Doesn't look good, does it? Can't quite see what it is, but it's certainly going down, but he seemed to be going still quite far. It really has gone.
Martin Brundle. Oh, what a shame. You see the sidewall has come completely adrift.
That's amazing to happen so soon in the race. He must have picked up some rubbish. There was debris around, no doubt, from that incident at the Ascari curve, and he might have picked up something from that.
Or perhaps had contact with someone. There is Schumacher with Damon Hill just behind him. Hill desperately needs to get by, trailing Schumacher by 15